Hello, everyone. This is Jamie Root from Training for Survival. I'm here along with Edward and Michael. Glad you guys are joining us tonight. We'll give everyone a few minutes to jump on YouTube and join us there. We're also live on our Facebook channels as well. Edward, Michael, how you guys doing?
Fabulous. How about you?
Good. Things are good. I know the last time we spoke, the weather down where you were is pretty rainy and humid. Has it changed?
Gorgeous day.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, the weather was great. It was almost like September today.
Oh, yeah, I prefer that. I'm not a big fan of the humidity.
Yeah, neither.
So,
What's it like? Tell us more about what's going on in Maine.
Why do you guys miss it?
That's
Yes.
flatland.
67 to 70 degrees. It's beautiful out. I mean, the past couple of days have been fantastic. We had a little bit of rain 2 days ago, but it's been great. What we have that isn't so great is a little bit of the smoke and the smog from the wildfires up in Canada have been making their way down this way a little bit. So every once in a while you get a little smell in the air. But other than that, I can't complain about the weather. So
Yeah, we haven't gotten that this year. We had that last year. We had the smoke came down. That's right. You guys are a little bit further up there for that.
Oh, yeah, we are up there. So, guys, let's start digging in. Today's topics, we're going to go over some news topics. Then I have some questions from some of our listeners and some of our clients that kind of follow up to the Trump assassination attempt video that we did. It was about a month ago now, Edward. And some questions that have come up, kind of an update as well. And then we also want to talk about camp, obviously. Guys, if you're joining us live, you're jumping on, please say hello. Type in the comment box hello. Let us know where you're from, and we'd love to hear you guys comment and ask questions as we go through the topics for today. So one of the questions we had from one of our clients is, what do you think of the theory of a second shooter in the attempted Trump assassination?
So that was new after we had our podcast that we did when we talked about the original one. And I've heard this second shooter thing come. I'm not a fan of it, and I'll tell you why. If there was a second shooter, just think of the crowd for a moment. Put yourself in the perspective of the bad guy shooting. Inside the crowd, all there was people. To absorb those rounds, and there was. Thankfully, there's not enough injuries there to say that there was, likely a second shooter possibly following up. I'm not a big fan of the second shooter theory. I'm not saying it couldn't be. I'm highly doubtful. I haven't seen any evidence that. You got to keep in mind too the angle in which he was hit. Lines up perfectly from where this guy, Crook was shooting from.
Right.
And a second shooter, the angle changes. It just doesn't match, So what are they telling me? The second shooter was worse than the first one? I mean, it just doesn't matter. So I'm not. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me anyway on the second shooter. I'm not dismissing it, but if I was looking into this, I don't think so. I don't think it works.
Okay. So another question we had from a client is, can you confirm if there were snipers and or law enforcement in a room outside the roof line where the shooter was?
Oh, so this comes back. Remember when we were talking about that on the police were in the room below them?
Right.
Remember we addressed that, and that was like really fresh information. So I don't know if there was anybody in that room. And keep in mind, it'd be kind of odd too, because that room kind of faced the principal. I'd find it kind of incredible that they would say, "Yeah, go ahead and point your sniper rifles towards the principal." That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe for observation, maybe they had somebody. So notice I've used the term maybe a lot of times.
Yeah, there's no way for us to know either way.
Right, and here's the bigger issue you have there is what amazed me, and I predicted this, and the last time we talked. I don't know if it was on video or not, but I said that the locals in the state are going to come out eventually as to failures of communication,
and they did.
And they did, and they talked about how there was no coordination or nothing like that, and that answered all my questions that I needed to hear. So, nobody was. It was poorly run. That's just all there is to it, and it allowed this Yahoo to get up there and do what he did is what it amounts to.
Do you see the last report over the past couple of days of the amount of training he put in over the past couple of weeks and months leading up to the event?
No, you got to share that with us. What do we have?
Over the past year, holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, he was at the range shooting. He spent supposedly hundreds of hours over the past 12 months practicing at the range. In the range, I don't know the name of it, allegedly is also where the DHS trains and where other agencies train as well. And there were trainings with those agencies at the same time he was there practicing. That's what I heard on the reports that I read. And lastly, the day before, he registered in at the range and did practice before the event.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes back to, what we talked about before. I've heard people say, well, a lot of people have never really shot a lot, like, well, that's a hard shot. Man,
No, it's not.
Mike, exactly. I mean, it's
that's like being on a putting green. That's nothing.
An open sight. If he was going to the range and training, though, depends on, keep in mind, with all these rifles, especially like an AR-15 style platform, semi-automatic. If a battle rifle is usually considered good if it's shooting 3 MOA, right? So what's that mean? Somebody doesn't know what that means. That's a 3-inch circle at 100 yards. So at 150 yards, give or take what he was at, you're looking at a 4.5-inch circle is the mechanical capabilities of that rifle. Mechanical. That doesn't add in the bad marksmanship skills. Even if you were good, I mean, really good, you're still going to shoot a 4.5-inch circle, at that distance with a typical battle rifle. And I understand the one he had wasn't really all that great. So I would say 3 inches is probably a compliment for that particular platform. However, 3.5 inches, that's your, more than that. I mean, sorry, 4.5 inches is a pretty big, error point when you're aiming at something. Just take a 4.5-inch circle, that's that much of this ruler.
Right.
That's you don't have to. It's almost the total width of a head. And thank God. I mean, thank God. It's just, but it's if you went to the range, what spooks me out on that is, I mean, you don't know. I mean, I feel bad for those people that were at the range watching them shoot. Somebody's gonna go cuckoo for cocoa.
You got a guy training when you're training doesn't mean you know or can
No.
forecast. Unless the guy's acting squirrely or says something, you don't know. And then if anybody has expectation that somebody should have known, okay, what? The guy found a hobby that he was into, and I mean, it didn't have to go this way,
right?
It did, and he was training for nefarious reasons, but there's no way to know that unless he forecasts.
Yeah, and I've said also too, that's I'm always slow to put on my my Admiral tinfoil hat, on this stuff. You know what I mean? I usually the simplest solution is usually the solution, right? It's Occam's razor type of thing, and people are like, oh, there's a second shooter. How about this? Crappily planned, and this guy had an opportunity and a means to do it. Normally, somebody like that would have been caught.
Right.
That's the reality. In this case here, you have a crappy ground plan. This is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is why we used to have the same basic arguments. I'll leave Michael out of this one, but when we were talking about running festivals, he remembers these conversations I used to have all the time. Put up the water barriers. It's only going to take one moron with a car that decides that they want to drive through the barriers and run people over.
Right.
Being on the news all the time. Well, this is really no different than that. They didn't put up any of the barriers. Barriers that I talk about as far as personnel are concerned. And then everybody's acting surprised that this one Yahoo got through and popped off the rounds at the president. This is what happens. I mean, it's horrible. But I tend to lean towards, there's other things. I know you have other questions from listeners that you have on there that are even more germane, actually, to like, holy God, what happened here? Some of them are really bad and play into this point more.
Yep. All right, so let's go into the next question. Excuse me. I had to take some halls. Got a little something going on with my throat. and or else I'd be coughing. So let's see. If the Secret Service used a Win 300 mag, why not all the blood or head damage in the pictures you see of the shooter after he's deceased? We had talked about that in our live stream. By the way, if you haven't watched the live stream and we kind of break down this event, you go to that live stream and watch it. But what do you think of that question from another one of our clients? What do you think?
Boy, somebody paid attention in the last video. So that was a concern I had, because I know Michael has seen what a 308 does, 308 Winchester does to a human head. I mean, it opens it right up. Contents come out. 300 Win Mag at that range is ridiculously powerful. So I said that night, I'm like, it looked like there was a burn mark in the, the cheek right around here, and you couldn't see the left side of the head, if I remember correctly. And, I don't know, could have hit him and the left side of the head is missing. That would be apropos for the 300 Win Mag on a glancing shot. It certainly shuts you down. The problem I have with that, though, is when it's kind of morbid, but nonetheless, you're always looking for these things. Secondary evidence matters, and when you're looking at the bloodstream that goes down the roof, I don't want to put it in a, horribly morbid sense here, but there'd be a lot more chunks. I'll just leave it at that, and it's like a lot of bleeding took place, no doubt about that. Did the round go in? This plays in. You remember how we were breaking out the phases of the shooting?
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes wonder if the police actually engaged him. These facts are going to come out.
Right.
The only thing I know for sure is up to when the president was shot. That I know. That his perception reaction time. That I don't need anybody to explain that to me. That's the opportunity moment that this Yahoo had. What I'm curious of is who put him down. Was it the police at the scene who were very well aware at that point that something was going on? Were there other rounds we heard? Because the one problem I've had with this is if he fired more rounds towards the crowd, there were a lot of human beings in there where those bullets should have impacted. It was a target-rich environment in which your odds of hitting a human, even if you're not aiming, was high. So where did those go? And the option to that is those shots that we heard were actually being fired back and forth by the police back at the building. That's possible. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it could have been a 9mm that took him out. And I know that the president was interviewed last night, and I forget what Jamie, you had told me before we went live.
Yeah, he said that the sniper that took him out was over 400 yards away when he took the shot, which kind of, we talked about the two teams that were on the roofs, and could there have been another team somewhere else that wasn't visible, which in honesty, a sniper shouldn't be visible anyway, right?
That's correct.
So if there could have been someone somewhere else that had taken that shot, because the second roof line from where the original snipers are to where we thought the other team was on the south end of that building, there's no way there was an additional 300 yards distance. So
yeah, and I'm not
more questions.
I'm sure President Trump is probably getting much more accurate information than we are.
Right.
So I'm certainly not going to dispute if that's what he was told and that's what happened. That's a long poke,
Well,
and
it also opens up even more questions.
Oh, sure does. I mean, you shouldn't see us anyways. I mean, when you go to like SIG Arms or any of those schools, the sniping schools that I went to for police, you were told not to be seen. Being seen was a failure.
Yeah.
You're not out there to play rock star. I mean, that's just the opposite. You're supposed to be the guys and gals you don't see. The only time you don't want to hear us and you don't want to know where's that, because all you're going to hear is, well, us. We didn't have cans on our rifles and we still don't. All you're going to hear is a boom, and something awful has just happened. But that's a I don't know on that one. I have a hard time arguing with the president of the United States, who I'm sure is very curious as to how that whole thing went down. So
agreed. Yeah, a lot more I'm sure will come out, so we'll keep watching. Michael's joining us online. He says, hello. Thanks, Michael, for jumping on. I appreciate it. Anyone else that's online, feel free to hit that like button if you like this content, and feel free to say hello in the comments. If you have questions for any three of us, please put those in the comments as well. So let's talk a little bit about camp. And you brought up a really good question to ask, Ed, before we went on live. And the question was, what is the thing that you're most looking forward to for the upcoming camp? And we'll start with Michael, because Michael likes to talk. So his long-winded answer will give us hopefully a little bit of time.
700 yards, other than the campfire. But we're getting some good distance up there. We had a really good time with that.
Yeah.
We're going to be working up to at least 700. If we can squeeze a little more out, we will. I know we had talked in the past about trying to push it, do some landscaping and get 1,000. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. Every time we seem to try, something happens. So we definitely have 730, Ed, I think we had.
Yeah, but we got to have, I don't know, we'll see what our targets
we
will
had to be creative for some of that. So we're going to get you at least out to 650 safely.
I think we'll hit the 7. We'll hit the 7. Just question whether or not we could squeeze out more.
It's just a matter of how we want to do it. There's something very satisfying about hitting a small target at 500, 600, 700 rounds or yards rather. It's hard to explain until you do it. And the people that have done it out there, and there's many of them that can do it. It's something to say you could do or you've done.
Right.
You know, especially when you 1,000 yards, and that's a limitation really of your equipment. You know, there's guns that go way beyond. We don't have that kind of range out here. Sorry. So if you have it, we're going to disappoint you if you want to go much further. But there's equipment out there that's just phenomenal, and we're going to show the students how to really deploy what they have and be somewhat proficient. I mean, we're not going to make them amazing shooters, but the people that are going to do the technician course are already have a good foundation. They have proficiency. It's a different game when you really start understanding what your equipment can do. Just saying, I can hit that, and then you do a guess and you kind of just go for it is very different than knowing what you need to do, what your elevation is.
Right.
If you're learning how to read winds, it's not impossible, but it's to learn it. It's a bit of a challenge for people.
Well, a lot of people have capable rifles, but they're not capable.
Right. And the guns that the rifles that Ed and I use, if there's a miss, it's you. It's not the rifle. And there's a lot of nice equipment that's been coming up to camp, so we know some of what's being brought in, and there's some really nice guns coming. Great equipment, and it's a matter of getting them dialed in and getting on them. So yeah, there's something very satisfying. Trust me, I like the handgun portion. I have a lot of fun. I love teaching it. I love getting in the mix. But it's just a very different discipline when you pick up a long gun and you're shooting for being precise at distance.
Yeah. By the way, I need to mention David's not on with us. David wasn't able to get online with us tonight, so we missed David, and he's here in spirit, I'm sure. But he will be at camp, and he'll be on the next live stream and discussing more of the handgun training as well. For those of you who are joining us and don't know about the technicians course coming up in October, there are only a few spots, and it's by approval to get into the course. So you have to have the knowledge, the firearm that is capable of shooting that range, and the proper equipment with the scope, but also the qualifications of the shooter. Because if we allowed you to go purchase a rifle that can make that shot, but you don't have the qualifications to do so, it would just be frustrating for you, and you wouldn't get everything you want out of the course. Therefore, we created a Rifle 101 course for those who might have that purchase of that rifle with all the capability to go longer. And that course is going to be held on Thursday, and that will give you up to probably 300, maybe a little bit more yards. Will be the goal for that course on Thursday, and that's your stepping stone to say, okay, next camp that I attend where they're going to be offering the rifle technician course, I want to have the capabilities and qualifications to be approved to go into that course. And we'll tell you, I mean, Mike and Ed aren't going to, BS you. They're going to tell you straight up, this is what you need to be able to do to be able to be in that course for next camp. We've got 2 hours left. Here's what we need to work on and see if we can get it done. The second part to that, and you guys, you need to jump in here, is that if we see them in October and we don't run this until May, and they don't put any practice in, are they going to be able to jump into that technician's course? In other words, get the dust off of them pretty quick and get into a technician's course if they're approved at the end of October camp, or will they need to get some training in between?
Well, so the precision course, we've had a lot of questions on whether or not, can I go to that or not?
Right.
My biggest concern, the thing about the basic course and the precision course, it has nothing to do with ego.
Right.
It has to do with, it's completely student centric. And Mike and I, the same course we're going to put people through on the precision course is literally how Mike and I prepared to double check our zeros going to national or regional, local, national, and international competition. I mean, we're literally putting you through the same paces that we would do before we left to make sure all our elevations were correct and we were doing things properly and the rifles were there. There's so much that goes into that. And so you remember I talked earlier about the Yahoo with the AR-15 and the mechanical capabilities of the rifle.
Right.
For Mike and I, remember most rifle shooting or shooting in general is 90% mental. And that means you have to have, if you're not totally into it, you're always your brain will beat you up, especially when you're shooting rifle bad. And it's a mental game. And so you have to have complete and absolute confidence in your rifle to make great shots. It's just, you have to have that. And so and the only way you can have that is if you've shot your rifle for accuracy to test it. No ego involved. Really test it. How tight can I make my groups at 100 yards? Really, like, what are the no sexy stuff here. Vicing the rifle down, sitting down and seeing, what is my gun actually capable of with the best ammunition that I know this thing can fire, with all the equipment I have on it, what's the best I can do for groups? If you're shooting 2 to 3 inch groups or even 2 inch groups at 100 yards consistently, you're going to be unbelievably frustrated by the time we start getting out to 500 yards, because then you got to keep in mind the way we do this is we find where your center is, and then we determine like where your elevation can be compared to what the factory says you can be, and customize it to your rifle and then develop a dope card. Well, in order for us to do that, you have to have the equipment that at least mechanically is capable of doing it. Then you get into the shooter. Now you get off that vice and you know what the gun can do, and this is work. This is, all these skills take, I don't know how many hundreds and thousands of rounds Mike and I have shot, but I know it's a lot. And I'm not saying you have to fire that many rounds, but you have to be absolutely capable of consistently doing that, or you're going to get frustrated. And Mike and I don't want to see that. We don't want the students walking away going, oh God, why didn't somebody warn me?
We don't want to defeat the person before they even get going. It's like taking a brand new shooter to the range. They've never shot a firearm before and handing them a 44, and saying, hey, try this out. Everybody gets a laugh. Well, the people that are evil will laugh at it.
Right.
But you ruined somebody's experience and their desire to progress their skills or engage in the shooting sports. You see it and you hear the horror stories, and we're not trying to create a situation where they feel they're defeated and they can't go forward. It's not worth their time.
Right. And those of you, go ahead.
No, I've met people in the previous camp. One of them, I literally named this course that I submitted to you after, the performance I saw one point, and I referred to her as the technician. There are people that attend this camp that are, they're super, super qualified marksmen, right. And so the way I kind of thought about this, and Mike and I talked about it, we were trying to make it where this would be enriching to those folks. Like, take them to that next level. They're not just aiming at a metal target at 300 meters. For them, that's a chip shot. I want something that's going to challenge them and create a dope book when they go they're not spinning the dials around. Because that's the one thing I noticed. When they were shooting, they were always adjusting this and adjusting that and tweaking this and tweaking that. Nah, you shouldn't
just
need
guessing,
to do that.
Right? Oh, I'll try moving this one and see if that changes.
It's because you don't have confidence.
Now a lot of people take the data or note what's going on.
Right.
They're just kind of going for it. Oh, this feels right. I got a little higher. but they're not tracking their data. And
That's right.
they have to recreate every time instead of
Yep.
having like known data and referring to it.
And that's what technicians
And
course are
that
going to give you
shooter-
data.
Oh
and
yeah, you're gonna have a dope
that
one.
shooter Ed's talking about, it's recreational for her. It's something fun she does.
Right.
She's
Right.
not not law enforcement. She's not military. She is out there because she enjoys it, and she's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's right. Yeah,
So-
and that's the goal.
Ed, what's your favorite thing you're looking forward to camp?
Well, I guess I'm just a simpler guy than Mike, right? I actually the camp, maybe percolate a little coffee out in the field early in the morning when we're setting things up, and those moments like that. Even when I think I like the instruction's fun about the camp, but the campfire is where everybody sits around. You know,
I don't think anyone leaves out the campfire time. Just sit at
It's
the
just-
campfire at night after a long day of training and just talking and getting to know
hearing
each
the
other.
hearing the loons in the background, and
Yeah.
and then they're special, and then
Yeah.
and then all the other stuff, So it's just a good time.
Absolutely. If you guys are interested in joining us for camp, please message us through our social media channels or go to our website, t4survival.com. And there's a little bubble in the bottom corner. You could try to start a chat with us if we're available. We'll jump on and talk to you. If not, we'll certainly get back to you and answer any questions you might have and see if we can secure a spot for you for this October camp, which is October 23rd through the 26th up here at the Birches Resort, the beautiful Birches Resort. Mike, that was your cue point. At the beautiful
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Birches Resort, and there's the mug. Located in Rockwood, Maine on Moosehead Lake. That's where the accommodations are for everyone who attends camp that doesn't live locally, and they really roll out the red carpet for us every time we're there. So we're looking forward to camp. There's a lot of handgun training that's going to be going on as well. There's 2 tracks that are going to be happening. It's going to be a full day of training on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's going to be this is one you're not going to want to miss. I say that in every camp, but we up the level of training and what you get out of every camp every single time you come. And you hear it from the testimonials of our clients, is that they come and they get something different every single time, and they walk away with a new skill set. People that have been training with us since 2018 when we started the camp come to every camp. They're still getting a fresh and new skill set when they leave, and those are brand new or definitely building their confidence to be a different person when they leave camp. So, guys, with that, I think we'll call it a night. We'll come back on in 2 weeks. We'll answer some more questions. If you guys have questions you'd like us to answer live on these live streams, send us a message, put them in the comments, and let us know. And we'll be sure to address those in the next live stream we do in 2 weeks. So let me look at what that date is so I make sure I get it on calendar. And anyone that's watching the replay, that will be the 27th, August 27th. Same time, same place is the plan right now, so keep an eye on our YouTube channel. If you're watching the replay, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you aren't already. Guys, you want to add any parting words? I guess that's it.
I can't believe it went by that quick. Every time I get on these, Jamie, blows me away how quick it goes by.
Well, you know what it is. Dave is not here to drag it on. He likes to talk a lot.
Oh, he talks the most out of all of us. I mean,
that's true.
That helped out. Jeff, by the way, was on. I don't know if Jeff is still on, but hi, Jeff. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you saying hello. And guys, we're going to sign off. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Be safe, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Have a good night.
Good night.